الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له وما يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالت الله إن كدت لتردين ولولا نعمة ربي لكنت من المحضرين صدق الله العظيم وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تصاحب إلا مؤمنا ولا يأكل طعامك إلا تقي أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected elders and brothers, as we can see the flyers when we came in and what I'm holding here today, next week inshallah on Saturday, April 28th, after Maghrib Salah, there will be a very important fundraiser. And this fundraiser will not be for any individual so that his bank account may get higher or he may buy some things which will make him happy. But this fundraiser is for the Masjid Hamza and even more importantly, the Hamza Academy, the educational institute which has been developed here in the masjid, so important that the children get an education, and that's of course clear, but in an Islamic environment. That is what is even more important, that our children learn, and they learn the secular subjects also with that, and also they do that in an Islamic environment. This is very, very important. So next week, on Saturday, there will be this fundraiser for the Masjid Hamza and Hamza Academy, and the special guest will be Junaid Jamshid, who is the famous poet now, and he sings the poetry and beautiful ash'ar and naat of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also most of us know him back in his day when he was younger. He was a famous singer. Allah Ta'ala gave him the tawfiq to make tawbah and get away from music. And now mashallah he is a very pious man who mashallah is working for and doing khidmat for many Islamic purposes. Allah Ta'ala bless him, and may Allah Ta'ala accept this fundraiser and make it successful for the masjid. And my dear brothers, these Islamic schools, makatib, madaris, all of them basically have their purposes. But the Muslim school or the academy, Muslim academy, or the school where the kid comes and does his secular subjects like they do in school, but with that, he does it in what we call an Islamic environment, or the best possible environment that the Muslims can provide for. The benefits of this are basically two. The first benefit, of course, first of all, when you develop an educational institute, education is first at hand. The first thing, we want the child to get a good education. And when we put him in a Muslim school, we want him to get, with the secular education, we want him to get a good firm grounding in Islamic education, so that he may know the fara'id of his Islam, what is obligatory upon him. He may learn how to recite the Quran Kareem. He may learn some things about the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the history, the seerat of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was the 23 years of Nabuwwat of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The 40 years before that, before becoming a Nabi, what was the Prophet Muhammad's life? His companions, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, what were their lives like? After they passed away, the Tabi'een, and the history of Islam, which comes all the way to us, what was the things that the Muslims went through, and what did they learn from history? All of these things, when we put our child in an Islamic environment, an Islamic school, these are the first purpose, that how my child can be Islamically educated, and then in a good environment, he can also learn his math and his social studies and his science, things that he will need later on to become a worker in America, to get a degree, to go to college, all these different things. These are usually the first purpose. And most of the time we send our kids with this intention. But another purpose which our ulama have told us of the Islamic schools is that as the child is young, he already indirectly, because children are such that when you put them in a certain environment, it becomes their nature. If you put a small child in the environment of music, and if you put him in the environment of fun and dancing, then the talents of dancing will come out. He will learn music. He will be able to rattle off all the lyrics of the music also. He'll remember everything about it. And then we know that we have these problems with our own children where the kid knows a song or he knows something that basically doesn't benefit him, but he knows it by heart. In the same way, if we put our child in an Islamic environment, and that child is now listening to a hadith, listening to ayats of Quran, wa then similarly that kid naturally, and in a way where he doesn't even realize it, he becomes Islamic. Like they say in Arabic, al-hifdhu fi sighar kan-naqshi fil hajar. That the memorization or the child learning something as a child, it is like putting the scratch on a rock. And we know that when we put a scratch on a rock, you pick up that rock after 20, 30 years, and that thing still has a scratch on it. So in the same way the child, my own example, and many of us can understand the small little songs that we learned as a child. For example, in school, the Incy Wincy Spider, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. These little songs that we learned when we were children, I can still get up here and say the whole thing to you. But yet the hadith of Rasulullah that I memorized yesterday, I'm forgetting it today. I'm forgetting it today. Samaya wa Tariq, I memorized it yesterday. Today I have to go over it again because now the ayat I'm mixing them up. Why? Because I learned it when I was a child. So the second benefit of the school is that the child, when he's in the environment, he develops something indirectly. He develops an Islamic nature. And one of the most important aspects of his Islamic nature is that he becomes accustomed to sitting with Muslims. And not only accustomed to sitting with Muslims, but he has a Muslim teacher, and many a time that teacher is an alim or a pious person. So later in life, he will be accustomed also to sitting with the ulama and sitting with the pious people. Indirectly, he won't even know. He will have that mizaj and that attitude to come to the masjid when he gets older. When he has a problem when he's older, when he's 18, 19 years old, and his philosophy teacher is bringing his logical proofs on how there's no Allah, na'udhu billah. So he will not go to the philosopher for the advice. He will come back to his masjid and ask Imam for the advice. What is this? What are the answers? I'm confused. I'm a little bit in doubt about certain things. So now the ulama will be able to answer him. And this is one thing that we have to stress on Islamically, not even for the children but for ourselves, and that is the good environment. How we can sit with those people who are pious, those people who are good doers. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. The maqsad and purpose of our life is that how we can gain the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hudal lil muttaqeen. For us to become guided by this Quran, the very easy way for us to become guided is that we become muttaqi. We fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We follow all of His laws and we stay away from His prohibitions, those things which He tells us not to do. So Allah ta'ala shows us a very good shortcut that fear Allah ta'ala wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen, and stay with those people who are truthful in their ibadah. The sadiqeen. Those people who are pious. وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. Do ruku with those people who are doing ruku. Meaning, stay with those people who are doing ruku, who are praying salat. Many of the ulama tafsir say, hang out, be with those people who pray salat. If you're doing ruku with them, that means you're with them. So very, very important that we connect ourselves with those who are pious. Because insan is such, and the ulama of Arabic, they have mentioned that insan, the word insan, comes from either one or two root words. It either comes from nisyan, which means it comes from the word forgetfulness. Insan forgets all the time. He forgets. Adam alayhi salam was told not to eat it, he forgot. We always forget. Us also. You put something in the oven, just one phone call comes and the person just says something, now your bread is burning. Forget. So insan, he forgets. And another word it comes from, the ulama say, it comes from uns. Meaning insan wants to have a companion with him. He always wants to, he has a lot of love in him. So he wants always to have someone with him. Inshallah, we can move forward. A lot of brothers are outside, so any spaces in between, or if we can move up a little bit, we should do that inshallah, so the brothers aren't outside. So this insan is such that out of his ignorance and out of his love to be with people, sometimes he chooses the wrong companions. Just to be with someone, he would choose someone that is not proper, not close to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why it's been emphasized in the Quran, and it's also been emphasized by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith which I mentioned, لا تصاحب إلا مؤمنا. Nabi Sallallahu said that don't be companion with anyone except with that person who is mu'min, that person who is a believer. That's why if we pick friends, we should try to pick friends of those who have iman. Of course, the question arises that we are living here in America, and many of our colleagues at work, they are non-Muslims. Some of us have converted to Islam like myself, and there are others sitting here, our mothers and fathers, our closest people in our lives, they are non-Muslims. Many times it comes in such a situation we have that we are in front of non-Muslims. And we find the ayat of Quran also where Allah Ta'ala says that don't take the person as awliya who is not a Muslim. Min dunil mu'mineen. Don't leave the mu'min and take the non-Muslim as a friend. So can we take Muslims as friends? What do these ayat mean? Many times we misunderstand these ayat. And Allah Ta'ala has mentioned these type of words in regards to taking a non-Muslim as a friend. One word in Quran comes bitana. A very close friend. In Urdu we call it jigri dost. Somebody who you tell your secrets to. Do not make friendship with someone. An awliya. Awliya in the Arabic language means when you are muwafaqat, when you have agreement with every single thing with that person. Every single thing. If he's going to the right, you will go with the right with him. If he's going to the left, you will go with the left. Even to such an extent, the ulama have mentioned that if he will go against Islam, you will follow him and go against Islam also. This is wilayat. And this is totally forbidden in Islam. We cannot have that type of relationship with any non-Muslim, that we share the same ideas as him and that we have the same views as him in every manner. Muwalat it's called. This is haram in Islam. There are other type of friendships, for example, mudarat. Your neighbor next door to you, he lives next to you, you bring him some food. You invite a non-Muslim to eat in your house for the sake of da'wah. An old lady has a heavy shopping cart and you help her. Right? Your next door neighbor, you greet him in the morning, you see him. You have someone who you work with, you share your lunch with him, tell him to eat lunch with me. Come, you give him some food. These type of things where people need help, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, not only should we do it, we are supposed to do it. We are supposed to have these type of relationships. So in what we call mudarat, where a person is supposed to recognize the next person as a human being, and he's supposed to fulfill his rights, that of course we are supposed to do. And a third type of relationship is mu'amalat, business, dealings. That is dependent on whether the deal is halal or haram. If the deal is halal, then we can have a relationship with a non-Muslim and we can do a halal transaction with him, business partners, whatever it may be. And if the mu'amala and if the dealing is haram, then obviously we cannot have any type of dealing with that person because the mu'amala and the dealing is haram. So these are the type of degrees of where, even in the Quran it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the Arabic has slipped my mind, but Allah ta'ala has said that Allah ta'ala does not stop you from those people who don't take you out of your houses. وَلَمْ يُظَاهُرُ عَلَيْهِمْ. And they don't fight against you. أَن تَبَرُّوا وَتُقْسِطُوا. That you be good with them. وَتُقْسِطُوا. And you be fair with them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Allah ta'ala loves those who are muqsit, those who are fair. So anybody who's not harming us, who doesn't have iman, we are supposed to be good to them, tabarru, and we are supposed to have qist. We are supposed to be good with them in such a way that we are fair to them. If they are good, we are good to them. This is in regards to the relationship of a non-Muslim. But in regards to who we want to keep as our close friend, every day we are sitting with them, we are benefiting from them. Nabi Sallallahu has said, "La tusahib illa mu'minan." Do not have the suhbah and do not stay and do not accompany anyone except that he has iman. This will be your best friend, someone who has iman and someone who has the muwafaqat and agreement with you of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and ayat of Quran are replete, and they are full of advices for us in this manner. For example, we can say that even if a person is good or a person is normal and he happens to have the friendship or he happens to be in the midst of people who are bad, then due to just being around that person, he can get the very bad effects of that group he's sitting with. For example, the hadith of Bukhari is related in Riyadh al-Salihin as well of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Where Aisha radhiyallahu anha says, "And a yagsul jays al-Kaaba." There will be an army who will try to take over the Kaaba. They will come and try to destroy the Kaaba. When this is, the ulama say, Wallahu a'lam, it could be later in the zamana where an army will try to take over the Kaaba. فَإِذَا كَانُوا بِبَيْدَاء, when they are in the open zameen and open land of the desert, about to enter into Mecca and about to destroy the Kaaba or fight against the Muslims who are there, يُخْصَفُوا بِأَوَّلِهِمْ وَآخِرِهِمْ. The beginning of this army and the end of this army, all of them will be dug into the ground. The ground will open, it will swallow them, and this will be the adab and punishment of Allah Ta'ala upon them, and they will all die. Aisha radhiyallahu anha then asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that how can all of them pass away? Because there are some people who are there who follow the army just to sell some food to them. There are some people that could have been just next to them. Some people innocently just joining them. For example, like we have in armies, doctors and things like this, and nurses. They may not even agree with what the army is doing, but they are just there to help the wounded and help the sick. These people also will be. So look at that. They were with them. Good people. But they were just with this army who had this terrible intention and this terrible mission of destroying Kaaba. Rasulullah then said, yes, they all will pass away, they all will die. Because the adab of Allah Ta'ala, if you are close to it, it is it is general. It will take you also, even if you're pious. It reminds you of the hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that at the time of the Bani Israel, one group of people were destroyed, and there was a pious man sitting amongst them. That the angel who was going to punish and give that punishment and carry it out, Allah Ta'ala had given him the order to carry it out, mentioned that this person did not go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws qattu, just even once, the blink of an eye, he didn't disobey Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala said, turn the land over him. Why? Because he sits amongst them, and the wrongs that they do, he didn't even frown and didn't even get mad at what they were doing. So we can say from these few hadith that even the good and the innocent, when they happen to just accompany the bad, they can get such bad results that they can be accompanying them in such a punishment of Allah Ta'ala which destroys them. Of course, on the day of Qiyamah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that يُبَعَثُونَ عَلَى نِيَّاتِهِمْ. They will be raised according to their niyat. On the day of Qiyamah, if the person was good and his intention was good, then that person will be saved by Allah Ta'ala. But still, that person was in the punishment. He had maybe a son or a wife who was waiting for in a home. He passed away at a time where he probably didn't want to pass away. Day of Qiyamah, he will be saved according to his niyat. So we can say that a good person with the bad, just by being with the bad, can have some bad precautions and some bad results. And the other way around, when a bad person even has a niyat or an intention to go with the good, he can also benefit from that as well. Like the story of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when Nabi Sallallahu mentioned the story of that man in Bani Israel, an incredible story, who had destroyed or killed 100 people. Subhanallah, 100 people. The story is long, I won't get into length of it, But this person came to an alim, a person who was a scholar, and asked him that, is there any type of tawbah for me? I have killed 100 people, can I make tawbah? So the alim gave him a few advices. He said, yes, you can make tawbah, make your tawbah, but not only make tawbah, but go to a certain land, there are pious people there, you sit with them, and you stay with them. By staying with them, and the virtue of staying with them, you will be able to stay away from killing people and murdering people like you are doing. So this man went there and died on the way, and he was forgiven because he was closer towards the companionship of these people. So we can say from this qissa also that even the bad and the evil, when they make an attempt to sit with the good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves them and gives them those same benefits that the good are getting. This is also important in regards to the maktab. Because in the maktab and in the school and in the academy, what we are teaching them from young age is to sit with those people who are good. Trying to embed and put inside of them, inculcate inside of them, that good habit of sitting with the pious people and sitting with the good people. Because on the day of Qiyamah, if we go right on to the day of Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in regards to friendship, Al-akhillah, that friends, brothers, يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. On the day of Qiyamah, no matter how strong the friendship may be, you can be friends for your whole life. You can be what we call blood buddies, right? They change the blood and they tattoo their names on each other's arms. And you're my friend till the end. Or maybe they're a gang and they sit together, they wear the same colors, the same clothes. And they're friends all their life. On the day of Qiyamah, they will be enemies to each other. Enemies. Because they will see how much time they wasted in that friendship where they could have gotten closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. Except that friendship where the bunyad and the basis of it was on taqwa. Except that person, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, that person وَجَدِ بِهِنَّ حِلَاوَةَ الْإِيمَانِ. That person will have the sweetness of Iman. One of those people, there's three of them. One of them is that person who loves his Muslim brother only for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. So when we have a friendship which is based on taqwa and the fear of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, on the day of Qiyamah, that will also help us. Allah Ta'ala may allow that muttaqi friend of ours to make sifarish and to make the intercession for us. Maybe we'll be in trouble. Maybe that friend will have a better status than us and he will be able to intercede and take us into Jannah. It's a possibility. But any friendship that's just akhillah, just a friendship, we'll be enemies on the day of Qiyamah. You won't even care about them. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned that people will be raised uncircumcised, in the nude. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she was kind of scared about this, being a woman and saying that we'll be raised in the nude. Won't we look at each other? Nabi Sallallahu said, oh Aisha, it's going to be a different state at that time. You won't even think about looking at the next person's nude body. Everyone will be worried about their own status and what's going to happen to them. And even if we bring it all the way till after Qiyamah, the person will be sitting in Jannah. And one of the things the Jannati will get is an opportunity to look in the Jahannam. He will get an opportunity to look in Jahannam and see and get the ibrah and the lesson and see those people who are in Jahannam, that you could have been there also. When one person will look Sawal and Jahim, he'll look in the middle of the Jahannam. He will see one of his friends, which Allah Ta'ala calls Qareen, a close friend. But shukr, this Jannati, he didn't fall for that person's tricks. He followed the deen of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, separated himself from him and stayed away from him and had a good life away from him and stayed with the Muslims. That's why when he sees this person and he sees him in the middle of Jahannam, he will look at him and tell him, Tallahi, that I swear by Allah, in kitta la turdeen, you almost got me away from my deen. You almost made me into a kafir. You almost turned me away from Islam. وَلَوْلَا نِعْمَةُ رَبِّي, if it wasn't for the blessing of my Lord, لَكُنْتُ مِنَ الْمُحْضَرِينَ, I would have been here with you in Jahannam. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions one statement of the people of Jannah. أَفَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَيِّتِينَ, The people of Jannah will be so happy when they see this that they will say that we are not going to die. It's like when a child gets chutti in the summer vacation, the second, third day, sometimes he says, I got 3 months off. Wow. He just keeps saying it. Until of course at the ending, I only got 2 days left. Right? But in the beginning, 3 months. Ma, I got 3 months off. So the people in Jannah, they will say, أَفَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَيْتِينَ. We're not going to die. We're going to be in this Jannah forever and ever. Right? Out of happiness seeing that the person in Jahannam, what happened to him and what the ni'mat of Allah Ta'ala is that a person goes to Jannah. So just to finish it off, by having these Muslim schools and by putting our children here, we are putting that all-important focus and that all-important purpose of a mu'min, that how he can stay with the muttaqeen, how he can stay with the pious people. In school, he was with the kids that said, La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. His teacher said, La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. Inshallah, on his life, he will always try to be around people who say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq and give us the ability to have the good companionship. Because bad companionship, Nabi Sallallahu said, the wahda, to stay by yourself, is better. And to have the good companionship, it's better to have a good friend than not to have to have a bad friend, or to be by yourself is better to have a good friend. The brothers are bringing around the boxes also, inshallah. We can donate generously towards the Hamza Masjid and what they are doing, mashallah. And also another reminder that next week, inshallah, to keep these, the Hamza Academy established and the masjid going, mashallah, and to keep these works of khair going on, April 28th, again after Maghrib Salat, Junaid Jamshid, the guest speakers will be Mufti Farhan, who we know. Brother Walid also will be coming, inshallah, giving a speech. And the donation is just a donation. The family, inshallah, $300, an individual, $100. It will be money well spent, inshallah. Dinner will be served also, which is the best thing. We'll all get our dinner as well. And we can all come and have some nice food. And Junaid Jamshid will be here. It will be a great program. And most of all, we'll be helping out a dini cause, a cause which is very, very important for us to help out. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wa akhir da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله الذي أعظم النعمة على خيرته خلقه وصفوته بأن صرف هممهم إلى موانسته وروح أسرارهم بمناجاته وملاطفته حتى اختار العزلة كل من طويت الحجب عن مجاري فكرته فاستأنس بمطالعة سبحات وجهه تعالى في خلوته واستوحش بذلك عن الأنس بالإنس وإن كان من أخص خاصته. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدًا عبده ورسوله من سيد أنبيائه وخيرته صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحابته سادة الخلق وأئمته. أما بعد، فقد اختلفوا في العزلة والمخالطة وتفضيل إحداهما على الأخرى، والحق أن ذلك يختلف باختلاف الأحوال أمنا وفتنة، والأشخاص ضعفا وقوة، والجلساء صلاحا ومضرة. فقد قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: وقد ذكر بعض الفتن وقالوا فما تأمرنا؟ قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: فكونوا أحلاس بيوتكم. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: يوشك أن يكون خير مال المسلم غنم يتبع بها شعف الجبال ومواقع القطر يفر بدينه من الفتن. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام في الفتن: تلزم جماعة المسلمين وإمامهم. قيل: فإن لم يكن لهم جماعة ولا إمام؟ قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: فاعتزل تلك الفرق كلها. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: الوحدة خير من جليس السوء، والجليس الصالح خير من الوحدة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال: رب إني لا أملك إلا نفسي وأخي فافرق بيننا وبين القوم الفاسقين. الحمد لله أستعينه وأستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد وما يعص الله ورسوله فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر، وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر، وأصدقهم حياء عثمان، وأقضاهم علي، وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة، والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة، وحمزة وصد الله وصد رسوله. اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين. الله الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم غرضا من بعدي، فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم، ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم، وخير أمتي قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. أقيموا الصلاة.